Well, it's obvious to me, and I'm sure to most, if not all of us, that we are living now in a time of crisis, a time for one of our most cherished and important civic values and institutions are under severe assault. And we look for a way to understand and to evaluate what is happening around us, even as we look for ways to act as well. In the next few minutes, I'm going to offer such a way to evaluate what is happening, and that is by exploring fundamental Jewish values so that we have something of a blueprint of a way with which and in which to evaluate what is happening. So what might Judaism be saying about our current situation? And so I propose now to explore, all too briefly, 5 fundamental Jewish values as a kind of way to assess today's dire situation. The first value, so cherished by our tradition, is the value of truth, so highly regarded by us. Jeremiah chapter 10, but the Lord is the God of truth. And just at the end of the Via Hafta this evening, just a few minutes ago, we ended Adonai Elohechem Emet, which is a slight variation on that passage from the prophet Jeremiah. No society, I'm sure you will agree with me, can flourish without a high regard for the truth. Whether the issues are issues of science, whether the truths are social or political, and I'm not expressing a partisan perspective here, the commitment to some kind of factual basis of reality is crucial for the social order. The second value regards the ethics of speech. Quoting Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, we create worlds with words. When we speak disparagingly of others, we diminish them, we diminish ourselves, and we damage the very ecology of freedom. That is why the sages take Lashon Hara, evil speech, so seriously, which they regard as the gravest of sins. And the school of Rabbi Ishmael taught, and I quote, anyone who speaks malicious speech increases his sins to the degree that they correspond to the 3 cardinal sins of Judaism: idolatry, forbidden sexual relations, and bloodshed. You may know that in our tradition, we have 613 commandments of the 5 books of Moses. We are allowed to violate 610 of those mitzvot when our lives are in danger, when our health is in a dire condition. But the 3 others, idolatry, forbidden sexual relations, and murder, cannot be committed at the cost of our lives. That is how crucial they are. And the rabbis find an equality between the heinousness of evil speech and those 3 ultimate ideas and values. The ethics of speech. Third, foregoing revenge. The Torah strictly warns us against taking revenge. And I quote Leviticus chapter 19. Don't take vengeance, don't bear a grudge against the members of your nation. Love your neighbor as yourself. And here we have, don't take a revenge or bear a grudge, 2 of the 3 commandments in this passage in Leviticus, the other one is find a way to be critical if you must in a humane way. And these 3 mitzvot are, according to Leviticus 19, the pathway from hate to love. Don't hate your neighbor in your heart. Don't perpetrate revenge. Do not be critical in a problematic way. Don't bear a grudge. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is how important the idea of don't taking revenge as a poison spilled not only into that relationship, but into society as a whole. The following comment may be provocative, but it's worth thinking about. What if someone actually insults us or causes us harm? The Talmud states, those who are insulted but do not insult back, hear themselves slandered but don't respond, act with love because they don't escalate the dispute. And then interestingly, the Talmud goes on to say, but it's permissible to remember the incident and to maintain cool relations until the other party asks for forgiveness. Vengeance, insulting another, is a deep temptation, especially when we are abused. But the Talmud enjoins us to rise above our inclinations and not exacerbate the situation. Next, the fundamental importance of institutions. Institutions contribute stability, especially in times of uncertainty, and help to anchor expectations in times of political gridlock. Effective institutions are vital since they can deliver their mandates decisively and outside the push and pull of the political process. The Torah takes the needs for stable and strong institutions very seriously. Jewish institutions, as we know, seek to create a deep and consistent culture of values and commitments that infuse the day-to-day life of our community through careful instruction and perpetuate those values into the future. The role of institutions. And the Torah, in several texts, reinforces the importance of stable institutions. For example, in Exodus 25, verse 8, and we have used this line very often in the process of merging our congregations. And they shall build me a mishkan, a tabernacle, that I may dwell among them. And what's interesting about this is that as soon as the Mount Sinai incident is finished, and it exists between Exodus 19 and Exodus 24, immediately at the beginning of Exodus 25, there is the enjoining of building a tabernacle, an institution that may preserve values over time. Or in Deuteronomy chapter 16 from Parshat Shoftim, that chapter features 4 different institutions. And the number 4 is very important. And that is that the Torah is very concerned about concentrating too much power in one place. And here we already have an intimation of the value, the necessity of the separation of powers, which is a shrewd understanding of the problematic aspects of human nature. And so the separation of powers protects us from the concentration of power. And here are the 4 institutions: courts, royalty, the worship cult, and prophecy. Prophecy most often deployed in criticizing the royal one, royalty. The Torah is very concerned about concentrating power in one individual. So, for example, when it talks about the role of the king, there is only one commandment that is positive. All the rest are negative. The king shall not do this, shall not gather horses, shall not take us back to Egypt, shall not concentrate economic power. The king is forbidden to do every single commandment except one. And the one thing the king is commanded to do, think about it before I tell you, what might it be? The answer is spend his time reading Torah in order to recognize who is the actual king. Already we have here a plethora of institutions that try to safeguard the values, especially the value of not allowing the camel's nose under the tent in creating too strong a ruler. Strong and respected institutions build confidence and lead to shared truths. These documents are grounded for Judaism, these institutions in the Torah and in laws and values. In America, the Constitution, including its fundamental amendments and the most important commentaries on the Constitution, the Federalist Papers. And the final value that I want to discuss here is the value of justice. The fundamental text of justice, about justice, comes from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, the same chapter I just referred to. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue. This passage was originally addressed to judges and those who appoint them, but it's come to be a key text in Judaism for the pursuit of justice is incumbent upon everyone. And notice the repetition of the word justice. Not just justice you shall pursue, justice, justice you shall pursue, which amounts to a way of talking about the need for a deep passion for, yearning for justice itself. Justice, only justice you shall pursue. And key exemplary individuals in the biblical literature make memorable commitments to Judaism's passion for justice. For example, the patriarch Abraham challenges God not to ignore justice when God considers punishing the evils of Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham says one of the most daring things that have ever been said. Shall not the just one, that's God, shall not the just one of the earth not do justice? As if saying, God, you are known for justice. How can you subvert your very own essence? Even God is called on the carpet by a mere human being, if the thought is that God is not going to promote full justice in dealing with the Sodomites and Gomorrahites. And God does not resist or rebuke Abraham for this, as if to say, I see that you care about it, even to the point of rebuking me. And the prophet Amos calls on both his own people and all the surrounding peoples to practice justice. As he declares famously, let justice well up like water and righteousness like an unfailing stream. And several of you know that this is the passage that is inscribed on the tombstone of Rabbi Arthur Lillieveld at the Mayfield Cemetery. As an aside, in 1997, I had the privilege of conducting the stone-setting ceremony for Rabbi Lilieveld. And certainly, as we know, he embodied the Jewish passion for justice. And certainly, Judaism frowns on any compromise on the equal distribution of justice, and that justice should never be compromised by special interests or for certain individuals. No quid pro quos are allowed to compromise or dilute the power and importance of justice. Certainly in this regard, the rabbis would be appalled by what is happening today. Now, as we know, today is Valentine's Day, a day on which we express our love for those most precious to us. In other words, the expression of the love for one's own. And to have loved ones in our lives is certainly one of life's chief blessings. But there is another object of love expressed powerfully in Judaism, and that is the love of what is right and good. Because though the love of our own is precious to us, we all live in a society beyond our particular loves. And we almost desire to have a society that we can love. And so in times of crisis, such as the ones we are living through now, there are many ways to express our outrage. I have tried in these brief remarks to provide a blueprint of 5 of Judaism's most important values, social and political, by which to judge from the Jewish point of view our current situation. Let me list them. A passion for truth, the ethics of speech, foregoing revenge, the importance of durable institutions, and a scrupulous commitment to justice. These are our Jewish values. And from that point of view, to evaluate how well or how poorly our public officials are discharging their duty to fulfill the soaring statement of the preamble to the Constitution of the United States, with which I'm going to end. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure the domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do we ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America.